What's up guys, welcome to the Dust2 primer, where we teach you how to play Dust2 on a basic level, which is actually a pro level if you think about it, because Dust2, strategically speaking, is very simple, very basic. There's not much you really need to know, and it's very much more aim oriented compared to the other maps just because of how simple and straightforward this map plays out. First thing I'm going to talk about is everyone's favorite smoke, the Xbox smoke. And I usually throw this from T-spawn. Come into this corner right here. Now you're going to aim at this corner of the wall here, which is a little bit to the right of this shadow here. So sit in this corner, aim in that corner, and then I move up until you're in line with the height of this little building there. And jump throw. I think this works on both 64 and 128, but I swear it messes up sometimes, and I don't know. But for what it's worth, it does work on 128 tick. So you can throw this smoke at the beginning of every single round, and then just straight up come into mid and start looking for picks around cat, or get control of cat, which is going to be your go-to strat for like 80% of rounds on the T side. Just getting cat control lets you almost take the middle of the map and split the map in half, which allows you to do whatever it is you want to do, whether it's mid B, straight A, split A, whatever. There's a million ways to line up this smoke from lower, but what I've always done is to sit against this pillar here, and then just aim a little bit above this box. So I just put the bottom of my crosshair above the box and left click throw. If you aim too low, you're going to hit the corner of the box and it's going to bounce weird and not be fun, so keep that in mind. A neat little flash you can throw while you're running up cat. I would say about halfway up catwalk, or maybe past this shadow. You can aim below the center of this little window here, and at the height of this square, so like right around there, and then jump throw a flash. I kind of freehand this all the time, so I don't really know the lineup. But if you know they're not playing on like close up cat, so like if you know they're not playing an angle here or here, you can throw that flash, and it's gonna blind people trying to play on cat bricks. This is probably one of the most common things you'll run into, is an awper on the rail right there, so you do want to be worried about that particular angle in particular. One thing you should be worried about is this double angle right here, so right there and right there. This is more so an eco thing than it is anything else, but if you are scared of it, like again, molly, and you're going to deny like most aggressive stairs setups. Finally, if you want to be super methodical, if you want to push this awper angle off, what I like to do is sit in this corner right here and just look straight up and throw a flash. And that'll catch this particular angle right here. And they won't really hear it until it's too late. So this is a nice flash, but it's very specific towards this angle. A lot of other angles, like close against the wall here, this will not blind. So keep that in mind if you are gonna throw this particular flash. Once you have cat control, you can do a few things. One of which is to throw this rail smoke, which is a one-way. So this smoke is very common. Right, you're gonna deny a lot of vision. This lets you get a little further into cat if you're gonna commit, and you can see just barely right around here, and you can get a pick if someone doesn't know what this smoke is. But most people nowadays know what this smoke does and is meant to do, so people are not going to be peeking you here. Now to actually throw this rail smoke, you want to stand in the center of this little fence here, this gated door, and you're going to aim at the top of this little rectangle above the window here, and left click throw. Very easy. Now you can do a CT spawn smoke for a drop down strat. You're going to sit in this corner right here. You're going to notice that there's a slant right here, so you want to stand against the slant in the wall here. So I would hold forward and right until you hit that slant. You're going to aim at that corner right there and left click throw. And this is going to be a CT spawn smoke. Again, this is good for your cat hits. If you get the one smoke that lands right here, get the rail smoke. That didn't work. but you know, get the rail smoke, throw some flashes, you jump down, and now CT can't really spot you, and you have angles towards ramp or even car or long A. And if you're coming up and if you have time, you can do something like that. You won't really blind your teammates as far as I'm aware, but this lets you peek around here and maybe even here. Now let's talk about long. It's kind of hard to get out of the choke point of the long doors, so what I would recommend doing is throwing a corner smoke. And this is especially good if you have really good long spawns. You stand right here. You're going to aim between this line here and the right side of this door up until you're a little bit below this little border thing over here. So like that. And you're going to jump throw. This is a really fast smoke for the corner, which even though you CTs can come out here, the more important thing is you coming out here and pressuring the CTs. You should also have teammates throwing late flashes like this, so that when you do come out, right, when you do come out, this flash should pop, and people that are trying to cross the pit are blind, meaning you can usually get a free kill. Alternatively, you can just try take this fight right here. I don't like doing that personally, but that is another option. Now you can just full commit as well, so you do this, and you're not throwing the smoke as first spawn. So first spawn, what he would do is one of two things, or one of a few things I should say. You're going to be throwing late flashes for yourself. So one flash you could do if your first spawn is like this off of this beam, which is going to catch anyone looking inside the doors even though it's smoked. You could also late throw a flash like this, again catching people there. Or what you could do is throw a really late flash off of this wall right here and you know, right in front of you. Again, remember this is smoked. So what you could do if you want to really get in their face, throw a flash like that. Completely turn the entire time and just run into the smoke. Look for a pick here. And from there, if you want to be crazy or if you're, you know, fine with just taking it. If you're crazy, you can throw another flash like that. And then push around the smoke, make sure no one's hiding car or connector, and then double check behind the smoke here. So all in all, you would do something like this. You know, a teammate would throw that flash or smoke for you, and then you would throw this, and just full turn. Your teammates should be flashing for you. Tell your teammates, yo, flash out long, late, and just throw a million flashes for me. So you would do this. Swing or turn around and look for fights over here. Alternatively, you could just come straight into blue and look for fights. But if you want to get in their face, you would come around here, turn, fight. Once you have control along, it's really about either taking it and going A or just falling back. Those are your two big options, and you need to do those pretty immediately. Otherwise, you're gonna allow time for CTs to start pushing into tunnel from B or whatever. Now, when it comes to smoking CT, I don't actually remember the pro lineups for the particular smokes, but I do know there's one around here against the barrel. You want to aim above this little tooth and just run and throw. But one smoke doesn't cover the entirety of long, so you will need to throw another one. And what usually happens in my teams and my friends' pug group is we kind of just freehand the first one, and then we see where the second one needs to go, and then we just fill it in on the fly. And that works sometimes, usually. If you're coming up long, do be weird about Ninja and anyone on Cat. Potentially Elevator, but if your smokes are here, you don't care. Just watch for the smoke push and you'll be fine. Now, coming into the B side of things, not much to talk about aside from throwing a lurk smoke. I've always done this one for no particular reason. There's a million lurk smoke lineups, but if you don't know one already, middle of this box, that dot right there, left click throw. This basically lets you get closer into the B tunnels and allows you to clear here and maybe even try to do some spam here, whatever it is you want to do. But it's good to put a little pressure towards B because B is really, really quiet. more often than not. And if you put pressure towards B, people tend to freak out, especially in pugs, because they're not sure if like it's actually a B hit. They're not used to action on the B bomb site aside from eco rushes. So yeah, in more organized play though, you can use this to flash yourselves out of the tunnel here like that. You can set up mollies, or you could throw a B execute where you throw the smoke that lands in the door that I forgot how to do already. Up to you. Now when it comes to lower, depending on how paranoid you are, you want to be careful and take your time to clear all of your close angles. So one thing I usually do is clear this first behind Xbox, because there might be a timing where your mid awper, or if you don't have a mid awper that's like watching the doors, they could creep into lower. So you want to clear this angle first, and then you're worried about anyone on cat. So what you could do is just throw a flash right there against the corner of the wall. And this will catch most people. If you're sitting here, I'm pretty sure you can react to it. But if you're sitting up here, it's a little harder because you might not hear the bounce right there. But this is a decent flash to make sure you don't get opt from like a boost right there. From here, make sure you clear this corner. And now we have lower control, meaning you can help your team get up cat with this smoke here. Or you can do the hinge Reddit smoke that was on Reddit like a while ago. And the way to do that, come here into the corner of doors, bottom left corner of this little diamond, move to the left until you're in this like whitish line here, and then right click. So bottom left corner of this diamond to the left until on the white strip, right click. You get the floating smoke. CTs can pick your feet, so if you are going to throw the smoke, you need to jump across like this, or like this. There's a little lip right here you can jump on. Alternatively, just throw a normal mid-door smoke, and you should be fine for the most part. Now when it comes to mid-B, I'm sure everyone knows their mid-B smoke. Behind Xbox here, you're going to aim at this speck on the wall there and left click throw. You can throw a flash for yourself, just aiming above this corner of Xbox from the same position. And if you want, you could throw a second flash like this or like that. You know, whatever is your boat floater. I've seen pros throw a smoke up here, and I never remember the lineup from outside of from the T side of mid. But if you come out and come here, and if you spot this line right here, you can just aim at the center of it and left click. And that'll deny the little boost angle that people usually go to. Do be wary though of the close right corner in CT. You can throw a molly and it'll catch the people on the boost up there. Now when you do mid B splits, I highly recommend you do not go through door, because A rotates can see you right here, and especially if they have an op towards A, they can pick you as you try to go through door. You get off. So if you can help it, and especially if you have bomb, go through window. Right? Don't do this. Don't run up here and be like, oh, I need to go through window. Strafe out wide first, so you can clear all your angles and avoid any spams here, and then just go straight into window. Now, if you're the third person in or the fourth person in for whatever reason, if you have 4 here, then it's not the worst to go through mid door. But something you might want to do is just throw a flash like this, just so that when they are holding this upper angle here, there's a flash there that they have to turn from, so you can actually get through the doors a little more safely. Now the CT side of things is where I see a lot of low and even mid-level matchmaking players not know how to play properly. There's 2 setups that you can run on CT side, either a 2-1-2 or a 3-1-1. In either of these situations, you are not playing one cat. In both of these situations, you are not playing one on cat, specifically. You do not play one on cat. Never play one on cat. You will get punished by good teams or even any competent teams that know how to use utility, or you will just get straight up traded unless you hit the shots of your life. So do not play one on cat. Do not play one on cat. Do not play one on cat. Especially in 2-1-2s. It bothers me so much. It pisses me off. That being said, you need a long protocol, or you need a protocol to go to when you start getting flashed and smoked off of long. You either need to fall back both and retake cat as 2 or even 3, or you need to fight it with counter utility. And I have an old video that I'll link in the description of countering long pushes as a CT on this map, and you can use that as one of your protocols. But one of the biggest things you can do is just hold counter flashes. So you can, there's a million lineups for a counter flash. One common one is right there above the plus on this sign here, and this will catch a lot of angles. It might catch this op angle if they're not peeking thinly enough, but it'll definitely catch people out here in the open. So that can be a good thing to throw for your teammates. If the teammates are playing anti, they hear 1 or 2 flashes, they call for the counter flash comes out, you swing. And then from there, you can establish control by smoking door or doing whatever it is. Once you have control along, you can start worrying about cat. Usually what people will do is send 1 or 2 players to come towards cat. Usually if it's 2, they'll send like 1 guy A ramp and 1 guy car. And by car I mean like long corner. Or they'll double up long and send 1 right here watching this cross with an op. If you're playing a 2-1-2 setup, you need to play close long. You need to have a slightly more aggressive setup, so maybe something along the lines of like blue and maybe like close here. You could try to play on this side of the doors here. You need to play a little more aggressive because you have no control over cat. You just straight up cannot fight cat because you're going to be taking 1vx's here and you're going to be taking 1vx's here. And that's bad. You want to take 2vx's here because you have better chances, and taking cat is pretty easy as a CT unless you have a really good awper right here. Or taking cat as a T is pretty easy. I don't know what I just said. Now there are cat setups, don't get me wrong, it's not like you can't ever play cat, but the higher you go and the more organized of a play you get into, the harder it is to play these kinds of angles just because utility keeps getting thrown at your face and it'll feel like you can never play on cat. But this is always a good angle, and you can hide and fake that you've dropped like this. Call for a flash from your teammate if they're familiar with this setup. I think this is like NIBR's sun flash setup, and that flash will blind a lot of people. So you can do this sun setup. You just sit here, aim above this little platform here, height of the sun. Throw that. Teammate here, shouldn't get blind. And then you swing. That's one cat setup you can do. I mentioned briefly you can do a high-low setup like this, just like in the 1.6 days. Finally, for cat, you can do a little boosty boost right here if you fast cat 2, and you can obviously just boost on each other's head, look into lower, get a pick, fall back. Only problem is that you're committed to on cat, and your third person is likely not gonna take long by himself, so how you play the setup after this pick is up to you guys, up to you as a team. Now when it comes to mid, it's pretty hard to hold mid after like 15 seconds into the round. You can't throw the smoke to cross right away. If you don't want to burn the smoke, you can take a risk of crossing low like this. Otherwise, you might need to throw the smoke to make T's guess when you're crossing. Now the reason you don't want to hold this angle with an op is because this is a triple angle, right? Theoretically speaking, T's can triple peek you on cat there, above Xbox there, and on the floor there. So it would look like 1, 2, and obviously 3. So if you hold this angle, you need to guess, are they picking me from low, medium, or high? And because of that triple angleness, you don't usually hold this angle for more than like 10 or 15 seconds, unless you're confident and ballsy, in which case, well, good luck. A strong angle you can hold is something along the lines of this. You can catch people running down mid really quickly. Maybe they're trying to run out mid really quick, or they're trying to like set up a flash for their team for cat. Whatever it is, you can catch people off guard. And you can also catch people off guard that are trying to cross out from lower right here. Assuming they don't smoke it. Good teams will smoke it, good players will smoke, so you get denied in mid, but that's just how it is. That's more for a 2-1-2 setup. If you're doing a 3-1-1, you want to go towards B like early in the round, so that in case it's a B rush, you have 2 people on the bomb site. Once you've secured the B bomb site and know it's not a rush, you can then start worrying about your outside, whether you want to play like window or door. You could take a risk and play scaffolding, or you can play CT if you know the other team just loves hitting A rather than hitting B. If it is a B split, you need to identify it quickly and push in a tunnel or fight and push outside. You just need to push, because if you sit on bomb site, you're going to get split from 3 angles and you just will get traded eventually. Now when it comes to actually playing B, you need to look at the beginning of the round to figure out what their money is like, and then if you're expecting a rush, I recommend having one person throw a molly here, like right when you can, and the second player buys a nade, and you should call this in freeze time. Make sure he has a nade and throw a nade into tunnel. Nades and mollies will stop any rushes completely, like just straight up. If they decide to run through it and you have a nade there, they get stuck in the molly and they die. So if it's like, especially if it's an eco or force buy rush, that's really good to stop it. Now, if you don't think it's a rush, if you think it's like a normal slow round, you can decide to burn a smoke or not. Up to you. And you can play angles like on top of the single box here, on platform, behind big box, or even back plat. Those are all pretty good angles, but the biggest thing about being a B anchor is that you need to stay alive or get 2 kills by yourself. Those are my personal standards for anchoring a bomb site. Survive and let your rotates come in, or get 2 kills and die. But overall, Dust2, everything I've described is basically what pros do, and you can apply this very easily to matchmaking. You don't have to go too fancy in terms of the smokes, but most of the smokes that I've described are pretty important for playing Dust2. You don't have to emulate every single pro strat out there, because after all, if you're playing matchmaking or even pugs, half of the things that you see in this video probably aren't going to be run, like executes. You're probably not going to run into executes on Dust2 in a pug, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Anyway, thanks for watching, and like the video if you liked the video.